Welcome in. The Houston Open live chat brought to you by Jock Market, which is blowing my freaking mind at the moment. We'll talk about Jock Market in just a bit, but live chat. We're going to go through ownership. We'll do some one and dones, Q&A, head-to-heads, whatever you have in the chat there. Go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. I see that there's a bunch in there already. Keep them coming. I'll go through as many as possible. While you're here, while I have your attention, go ahead, hit the like button. Take you about 5 seconds. Helps me, which I guess in turn helps you. We'll continue to rock these Wednesday afternoon live chats for as long as possible. And also, I don't know, Masters next week? Pretty sick. Should be awesome. Should be a lot of fun. Everything you see today will be available on RickRunGood.com, which, by the way, Masters cheat sheet already up on RickRunGood.com if you want to check that out. We've got to talk about a couple of things right off the top here. So let's jump into this because we had something happen this week that is fairly rare, and I will show you this. And this is what I tweeted out earlier today. We were talking about it last night. So here's what happened. On Sunday night or Monday or whatever, when the new tournament, when the Houston Open got loaded into the PGA Tour, I don't want to call it the website, like the media site, the media guide, what they released to us, stuff like that, it was listed as a par 72 with 5 par 5s and 5 par 3s. And I spent Monday with the assumption that that's what was going on. And that's what I recorded here on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel. It's what we recorded on the First Cut Pod for CBS Sports. And then last night, so that would have been Tuesday night, the PGA Tour released the bottom scorecard, which is the actual scorecard, which changes the par 5 first and the par 5 14th. No longer are par 5s. They are now long par 4s. It's a big difference. Medium to big difference, I guess I would say. What this course was going to play really easily. It was going to be pretty deep under par. I still think it'll be fairly deep under par, but those two scoring opportunities, if you think about it, those two holes at 520-yard par 5s, in our brains on Monday, they might have played a stroke under par per round to field average, just for round numbers sake. Now they're turned into two monster par 4s, 522, 529 yards, because the yardages didn't change. So now they're pretty hard holes. And it wouldn't be surprising to see those two holes play over par, maybe a shot over par together. So you're talking about maybe a 2-shot swing. Now that's reflected in the pars. Now a par 70. Par is just a social construct. You need to just get the ball in as few strokes as possible. So I get it. If it gives me any pause whatsoever or any change in strategy from what we talked about on Monday, I would probably tone down the par 5 scoring a bit, obviously, because we're losing the par 5s. And I would increase a bit distance players, which, there were so many par 5s, and I thought there was a couple that, or one at least, that no one was going to be able to get to in 2. The shorter guys could have picked apart the par 5s. I thought that was a good opportunity for them. Now I'm looking at it thinking, wow, what are you going to be hitting into number 1? What are you going to be hitting into number 14 if you hit your drive 300 yards? What are you going to hit on the par 3s that are over 200 yards? So now I'm starting to think you do need a bit of distance. You have to be hit it a little bit further than I would have thought on Monday. So that's my general thoughts. It happens. I can't remember the last time this happened. It's probably been a while. But it happens. Mistakes were made. They uploaded because the members play this as a par 72, right? It's a muni, or I shouldn't even say members. It's a public course. It's a par 72 on the scorecard. The tour comes in. They usually, reroute things. They usually change the par by a stroke or two. But the fact that they released the par 72 version was a bit disappointing. So little changes. They messed it up. It's fine. We'll figure it out and we will move on. All right, let's jump into some of the questions here, and I'll flip over to the cheat sheet, RickRunGood.com again. Masters cheat sheet is up here and available, so you can click through and go to the Masters cheat sheet. Hank Hill, thanks for joining in, Hank. That's a name I recognize. Do you have any more insight if the course will benefit short game specialists, and if so, some of the golfers that might be able to benefit besides Mackenzie Hughes? Okay, so my theory behind this this short game specialist thing, I don't think it really, like, I don't think you should only be a short game specialist, right? And normally the week before major championships, the course playing host tries to mimic conditions the following week. Now, that's going to be really tough at Memorial Park to try to mimic anything about Augusta National. So the one thing, they weren't able to overseed it. We already knew about that. The one thing that they might be able to mimic is closely mown areas around the greens and kind of shaving things down into these collection areas, which is kind of what Augusta National does. So that is what my thought process was around why, especially now that it might play more difficult, this might even be better, why short game specialists or guys who can get up and down are going to be of value this week. I'm going to go to the Holy Grail. I'm going to go to the restart. So I can filter this strokes gain data any way that I want. I'm going to go from June 1st, which is basically the restart. The restart was June 13th, I believe. And I'm just going to sort all the players in this field by strokes gained around the green, and then we'll do strokes gained putting as well. So you can see some of these guys have small sample size issues. Lee Westwood, the best around the green, I only have 4 measured rounds for him in that time. Francesco Molinari second, I only have 2 measured rounds for him. Camilo Villegas, only 8 measured rounds. When you start to get into some of the larger sample sizes, Luke Donald, I wouldn't play any of these guys. Luke Donald, Michael Kim, wouldn't play them. Siwoo Kim becomes interesting then, right? Because he's only a negative putter since the restart. He's one of the best players in the field around the green in that time period. 8,300. John Huh, only 4 measured rounds. I talked about him, I believe, in a sleeper video earlier this week. He is the ultimate just like dart throw, small sample size guy. That's fine. Hideki Matsuyama, Brian Harmon, Mackenzie Hughes are your around the green players. If you're looking for putters, this is a little bit different, but I mean, you can kind of say, short game is you got to be able to get up and you got to be able to get down. So there's 2 parts to it. Mackenzie Hughes, Maverick McNeely, Andrew Putnam, Denny McCarthy, Christopher Ventura. But again, if we're talking about why I think short game is going to come in handy, it is now for 2 reasons. Par 70 should play a bit more difficult, especially on 1 and 14, where guys are probably not hitting the green all that often. And then the mimicking of these collection areas and things like that. So I'm looking at around the green numbers. So those would be the guys that I think fit the mold there. Brian Beaver, I probably answered a lot of these questions already. So chatted about how it'll play as a par 70. Can you look up JGS? Can you look up Dylan Fratelli recent results primed for a breakthrough? Well, let's see. We'll go to tournament data, or we're on the strokes gain database here. I'm going to look by tournament, and I'm going to sort it by date, and we're going to look up Dylan Fratelli, who I feel like maybe hasn't popped into my brain since RBC Heritage, but let's see. So here we go. So this is what I'm referencing here. RBC Heritage is when he was. The reason it sticks out is because he flew up the leaderboard on Sunday, shot something really low from an early tee time. And the course was playing so easy, we knew he wasn't going to win, and he knew he wasn't going to win. And they interviewed him afterwards and like, "You're the clubhouse leader." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go drink some adult beverages. Like, there's no way this holds." So, and he was right. So he finished 8th, still a great finish there. A couple of top 25s since then: Memorial, 3M Open, Wyndham, played well at the Zozo last week. I'm not that excited about Dylan Fratelli. So when I look at this, I say, okay, he's been very good off the tee for an extended period of time. Great. That's awesome. I look at this and I see that he's been mostly good with his iron game, but when it's off, it's really bad. He lost 3.3 strokes in just 2 rounds at the Northern Trust. He lost 5.5 at the CJ Cup. He might have, I don't know what his scores were, but if you lose that many on approach, he probably would have missed the cut if there was one. He finished 69th out of a field of 78, something like that. So that's a bit concerning, just that when things go sideways, they can go really sideways. Also, I usually like guys that are negative putters, but when you start to lose 2, 3, 4, 4.5 strokes over the course of 2 or 4 rounds, you might have just lost it. Like you might you might be really just not a good putter and you'll never figure it out. You don't have those popping weeks. So I get it. The results are okay for Dylan Fratelli. I see warning signs that if things go sour, they go really sour. So I would only be considering Dylan Fratelli in a situation where you want to take on that high risk, high reward. Oliver makes his first appearance on the live stream. I don't know if you can hear that, protecting us from the Amazon guy, I assume. Lucas asks, how does the change in par 72 to par 70? Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned it. I think you need longer hitters, tack down the par 5 scoring a little bit, amp up just a hair around the green. I still think Finau's a good choice. I do think that being able to hit driver, being as long as he is going to be just fine. Worried about Hatton's distance on this course. Let's go and see how Hatton actually compares in terms of distance amongst his peers here. So here he is. He's really one of the few of the top golfers over $9,500 or so who doesn't hit it very far, averaging 296 yards this season, which would be pretty low. Bottom third, bottom 40% of this field. Now the good news is he makes it up with a couple of things. So let's bring him back up here. He makes it up by hitting a ton of fairways, number one. So you'll see that he's gaining basically a half a shot per round off the tee, while being one of the shorter hitters. That means he's putting it like basically in the middle of the fairway, right? He's hitting a ton of fairways. Then also he does this, which he gains nearly 0.8 of a shot per round on approach, which is great. This also concerns me a little bit, the half a stroke around the greens. And, actually we can run this for let's run this for a longer time frame here, because I don't want to use just this season. Sometimes there's a bit of just randomness and noise in small sample sizes like that. But let's look at his around the green stuff since the restart. Yeah, so here he is. I mean, he's not good. He's still a slightly negative player. And actually, we can kind of expand this and see what his career trajectory has been. It might take a second to load. It's a lot of data pumping through here. I'm streaming. Bear with me here for a second. There's a ton of data running through here. But my concern that I'm alluding to, and what I think might be an issue here, he's actually a little bit better long term around the green, but not so much since the restart. My concern would be the combination of both distance and then not being able to help yourself if you can't hit the green. So, I mean, I keep going back to 1 in 14 because they're perfect examples of this. If he hits it, these are very rough numbers. There's conditions, there's roll, there's all that stuff, right? But if he hits it 300 yards off the tee at 1 in 14, he's going to have like 240 in on a par 4. Now, if he misses the green and needs to get up and down, that's not necessarily a skill set he can particularly rely on. So as much as I love Tyrrell Hatton, I'm not sure this is the setup for him. And I could be wrong. He's won 3 times in his last 15 starts around the world, but I think that's a tough ask and maybe just narrows the path to victory for him, Alex. And quite honestly, if you're paying $10,300, you probably want him to win, right? That's probably the point. At what percentage do you consider a player to be chalky, asks Cam. Good question. I would say probably anything over like 16, 18%. When you start getting into the 20s, that is for sure chalk. If you're down to like the 13s and 12s, that's not so bad. Under 10% single digits, that's a very, I would say contrarian play. And then you can go lower than that. You can go into the 1%. But I would say anything 16, 18 starts to become chalky. 20 and up, very chalky. That's probably where I draw the line. That could be completely, fabricated or subjective or whatever you want to call it. JG asks about, can you run Knox versus Burns matchup since the restart? Wow. So first of all, let me get this set up here. And now I could tell you, JG, if you get a subscription to RickRunGood.com, you can run any matchup on any period that you want, but you always join me in the live chat. I appreciate you. So let's do this. So let's do, since the restart, Russell Knox versus Sam Burns. Man, you are feeling freaky, JG. Let's see what we got here. Here's Knox. and Sam Burns. Now, Burns, if I remember correctly, very good on Bermuda greens, but this isn't even particularly close. Sam Burns, since the restart, which is what you asked for, 85% to win over Russell Knox. You can see the stretch of golf that Knox has had here. Now, didn't he finish well in Bermuda last week? So he might get a little bit, I can't remember. I think he was like T17. I'd have to go look, but he might get a little boost. Knox might get a little boost that's not showing up here because there was no strokes gain data in Bermuda, but it would not be nearly enough to make up the difference of the time period that you're looking for here, JG. Keep the questions coming. Hit the like button if you enjoy this. If this is something that you want to see every week, it goes a long way. This is also a reminder that Jock Market is the partner that is with me here on this live stream. So somebody actually asked me, do you have equity in Jock Market? Because I think it's a really cool idea. And I was like, no, that'd be cool if I did. I do not. But I'm a user and I love it and I love the concept and I've been waiting for this for years and other people have really messed it up. But Jock Market's doing it right. So I was a user. I enjoyed it. And then we were able to connect on them actually being a sponsor. So that's the evolution of what this is. And they are going at another cash market this week. There was a cash market for the Bermuda Championship last week, which was phenomenal, meaning you can bid on shares of golfers for real dollars, and then you can watch their shares increase or decrease, and you can trade throughout the tournament. So I actually want to pull up, it's in IPO right now. So IPO is open right now. I highly encourage you to buy in IPO. The way that they are kind of structuring this, it's a little bit different with the liquidity of a market versus like the rake on another daily fantasy site, right? They're basically running at a loss, making it really easy to win on Jock Market right now. So there's a Houston Open Cash Market. It is open until 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Now I can already see, DJ is up to $7 already. You guys are sick. Okay, so DJ is $7 per share right now. So what that means is, let's say you buy him for $7. If he goes on and finishes first, which is worth $25 per share, the guaranteed share payouts is brilliant and very good for you as a user. You would make, what is that? $18 per share. So if you had 10 shares of DJ at $7 and he wins and finishes first and he goes to $25 a share, you'd make 18 per share. You'd make $180. So this is when I tweet out, hey, should I buy or sell Bubba? Hey, look, I had, who was it a couple weeks ago? Coke Rack. Coke Rack was like $3.50 to $25 or something like that. It was awesome. So just scrolling through here, there are a few names that, I would be very interested in. Tony Finau's only $2.25 right now. I imagine that is going to change. John getting a little steam here early. He's $2.25 as well. Denny McCarthy only $1.70. That win's coming. You know how I feel about that. Here's a really sneaky one that I probably haven't talked about. I might have talked about this. Lee Westwood. Lee Westwood is like top 30 all over for like 10 straight starts all over the world, mostly on the European tour, but he played well at the US Open. $1.26 on Jock Market right now, which is implying essentially, let me do this here. Join this and let me see if I can buy him. If he goes out and finishes, T30 again, he's paying off in a big way here. So Lee Westwood is someone that I think is very interesting. Also, if you want to take advantage of the deposit bonus, I encourage you to do it right now. What you need to do is just deposit and then just tweet a screenshot. I don't know if you can see this on my phone, of like the lobby or of like your account name or anything like that. Tweet it at me, tweet it at Jock Market, and they'll put 10 more bucks in your account. They do it very quickly. A lot of people have already taken advantage of it. I highly encourage you to. It helps me. It helps you. It helps them. Win, win, win. It's going to be a lot of fun this week, and Masters is going to be bonkers next week. So you probably want to get comfortable with it now before next week. All right. Let's jump back into some of these questions here. Thoughts on Siwoo? So I kind of mentioned Siwoo a bit earlier. He'd been playing well in the restart, and also he has that around the green game that might come more in handy now that this is a bit longer. Now that I expect fewer guys to be able to hit greens from further out, right? Like I expect fewer greens to be hit. So that's my idea on that, William. So I think he's fine. He's always going to be incredibly volatile. Joey wants to know about Doc. Happy to talk about Doc. He says, what are you thinking about Doc this week? Love to play the guy, but I'm coming up with very little this week. I think that's good. Okay, so here's my case for Doc. His game, let me pull up his strokes gained stuff. His game is ball striking, right? It's off the tee, it's on approach, and then try to roll in enough putts. That translates everywhere, right? It translates everywhere. So when you say you're not able to come up with something on Doc, I assume that you're taking it and you're saying, well, you know, I don't know what this course asks for. He doesn't really pop off the screen at me. It's a little bit, you know, the field is a little bit more difficult than it was at the Safeway and it was at Bermuda. Also, this doesn't even show Bermuda here because there was no strokes gained data. He finished what, fourth there, T4. So he's got 3 top 4 finishes in his last 6 starts. So I understand what you're saying, but I would like to flip the script on you, Joey, and say the fact that you can't come up with a natural fit for Doc is very good. It's because his game translates everywhere. So I'm going to continue to support Doc in both fantasy aspects. I think the win is coming. He's been knocking on the door. You know, you're going to get a really good number. I don't know what his number is this week, but I'm sure he's outside of, let's see. I'll go to William Hill, and as that loads, by the way, go to rickrungood.com/Will Hill. There's a couple of offers up there for free bets if you're in Jersey, Illinois, and Indiana, I think. Doc Redman's 40-1 this week. It's a great number on him, right? And he's going to live there until he wins. So my argument, ball striking works everywhere. Don't worry about it. If you like Doc, continue to play him. Success is there. It's coming. It's all good. A lot of questions about par 72 to par 70. I ranted on it at the top of the show. If you want to go back and watch that, I won't waste the time and say it all again. So a lot of questions about that. Keep going back. Do you have any tips for single entry satellites where about 5% get a ticket? I'm guessing the most important thing is getting a 6 of 6 through, but I don't know how important ownership leverage is relative to regular tournaments. Yeah. Okay. So I don't play a lot of satellites. What I would say is this, as with anything, right? If you're playing a 50-50, you're playing a heads up and half the field wins, you don't need to take on as much risk, right? Because 50% is going to get you the payout that you want. When you are in a single entry satellite where only the top 5% move on, you need to take on a lot more risk. You need to take on so that you can tap into a lot more of that reward. Now, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can leave money on the table and try to be unique. You can try to put 1 or 2 guys who are going to be sub 3% ownership in your lineups. That would be another way to do it. You know, throw 2 of those guys in. You are very likely to be unique. If one of them significantly outperforms their price, you'll fly up the leaderboard. I mean, you just need to take on more risk, which, by the way, reminds me, we should talk about ownership. So let's talk about ownership here. So I have this sorted by salary, and I have at the moment, so this is again Wednesday, 12:23 Pacific time, so 3:30 Eastern time. I have 4 golfers projected over 20%. Dustin Johnson, Tony Finau, Terrell Hatton, Russell Henley. I will then sort by, let me give you the rest of these guys. Then I have Siwoo at 18, Doc at 17, Cam, and McCarthy basically 16.5. Lantos right there as well. This is a good time to remind you guys that I do not create these. I aggregate them, score them, and pass along the best ones. So things that I think are interesting about ownership. Henley at 21%. That's the most interesting. And I might just be going down with the ship on this. Someone in the Slack channel was like, I think it's personal with you and Russell Henley now. Maybe. I don't know. I love the guy. I think he's great. He was actually in that optimal lineup that I had at the Masters a couple of years ago. I love Russ Henley. He's playing phenomenal. He's got 4 top 10s in his last 6 starts. The issue is you're paying for all of that, and then you're also paying for all of his event history, which is at a different course. I mean, we can look this up. Russell Henley's been unbelievable here. So let me just expand the event history. Here's Russell Henley, $9,400. Look at this. He had a stretch from 2014 to 2018 where he went 7th, 4th, 5th, win 8th. It's bonkers. Different course, right? Not at Memorial Park. That's the numbers. Very anecdotally, Mark Immelman said he chatted with him at a course, and I guess it had to have been in Georgia, a couple of days ago, and Henley was excited to get to this event, but he was a little bummed out that it's not at a place that he's had so much success at. So like, take that for what it's worth. Maybe it's motivation, maybe it's not. But he was hitting it well, he was rolling it well, but this isn't a place that he's had all that success at. So I just think you're paying for all that, not only in price, but in ownership. That's the one I'd stay away from. The really interesting pivot to Hideki here, I'm concerned about his upside. He's got 8 top 30s in his last 9 starts, but he doesn't have a lot of top 5 finishes in that stretch. If he could roll a hot putter, that's always going to be the story with Hideki, but is Hatton twice as likely to win as Hideki? Probably not. Is Finau twice as likely to win or to be the highest scoring DraftKings player than Hideki? No, probably not. So that's an interesting pivot there. So that's just kind of my initial ownership thoughts. The Henley thing, I don't know. I might just be going down with the ship here. Alex asks, Henley and Hovland, or Hatton and Doc? Probably Hatton and Doc. Man, that's tough. Probably Hatton and Doc. It's close. Probably Hatton and Doc. Any thoughts on Molinari? Small sample in 2020 is -4 at the Shriners Cup. Blah 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 blah. Ryan, no. Listen, we can show Molinari here. This has been very well documented by everyone since since Tiger just took him down at the Masters last year. So here where's the Masters? Here's the Masters, right? Everything after this is pretty horrid. I mean, he's losing a ton of strokes all over the place. Even though he was 6 under at Shriners, or I guess he wasn't 6 under, he was 4 under because I think the cut was 7. He still lost strokes to the field. He still lost nearly a stroke to the field per round. That to me is a concern. He just hasn't been the same. I am going to need to wait to see a lot more on Molinari before I even consider him at 66. I'd rather play John Huh at 60. I think he's 63. Same sample size, right? No. John Huh's sample size is twice as large. It's like 4 rounds versus 2 rounds. Good afternoon, Rick. Hello, Tom Brady's butt chin. Welcome to the chat. We like Tony top 20 at even one. Okay. Yeah. Even at plus 115. Sure. I like Tony. I got no problem with Tony. I love Tony. Actually, Tony was my pick to win basically everywhere. So that's fine. Harbs asks, do you think Mav McNeely is viable? I'm always interested in there's this strange love for Maverick McNeely. Of all the guys ranked outside the top, I don't know what McNeely's official world golf ranking is. Let's find out. Of all the guys ranked outside the top, okay, so he's 184. Of the top 150 in the world, I swear I get more questions about Maverick McNeely than all the rest of them combined. I don't know what it is. Everyone always asks about Maverick McNeely. Maybe it's because his name is cool. Maybe it's because he was highly touted out of Stanford or college, wherever he went. Yeah, because I think he's got a place on Pebble Beach. His dad's like CEO of something. Here, I don't really like to play Maverick McNeely. Here's the issue. This right here. He loses strokes on approach every single week. A lot of them. And the weeks that he has any level of success, he has historically good putting events. He gained 11 strokes at the Sanderson Farms and finished 17th. If you gain 11 strokes putting in an event, you better win it. Finish 17th. You didn't even top 10 it. gained 9.6 strokes at the Northern Trust, finished 61st. Like, not even a magic putter can save this guy. I mean, I want to put this into perspective here. So 11 strokes gained, 9 strokes gained. I have not done this, so this could backfire in my face. Let's just sort by the best putting performances ever, right? So 11 and 9-ish. So here's 11. Patrick Reed gained 11 and 1. Cheka gained 11 and finished 33rd. Second, 7th, 48th, 6th, 17th. That was McNeely. 10th, 28th, 2nd, 27th. Like, basically, if you gain this many strokes putting, you should be like in the top 10. That's concerning to me that it's not. So no, Matt McNeely, I'm out on. Matthew Neesmith is trending up. Okay, let's look at him because he caught my eye the other week. I cannot remember when it was, and he was like one of the last guys that I did not put in my core, but I strongly considered it. Maybe I should have, because it probably would have been. I might have considered it for Shriners. He finished 8th. So I agree with this. Who's this question from? Adam Walker. He's not being talked about. He did that. He caught my eye a couple of weeks ago because I saw all of this, the green, right? I love guys that can strike it. Now, his irons were great. And his off the tee game was a little bit weak, but his last 3 measured starts, he's been positive off the tee. In fact, Sanderson, he was basically, I mean, he did gain in every category, and Shriners, he almost did as well. He only lost a half a stroke around the greens. The rest of it was great. So I'm okay with this. I don't know what his price is. $7K. Yeah, I think that's good. I need to consider Neesmith in more situations this week. Finau, that's not a question. T-Money says, looks like last week a lot of scrubs did well. How about starting in the 9s and going mid scrubs to sleepers? Okay. So if you started in the 9s and you forfeit Hideki, Hatton, Koepka, Finau, Johnson, that's not terrible. I mentioned this earlier. There are question marks with the guys in the 10K. And we've had a couple weeks recently where there's been no question marks, right? So there are question marks with guys DJ's coming back from COVID. He actually said himself, I think it was today, he said, I feel good, but the state of my game is undetermined, which is like such a DJ line. So no idea what he does. Koepka is always a lingering question mark with the knee and, the poor play. If we've ruled out Hatton, because he hits it shorter than the rest of these guys and also struggles to get up and down, I understand it. If we rule out Hideki just because his upside has been capped unless he's going to putt like a madman, that only leaves Finau in the 10,000 that I'm like, I would be super upset if I didn't get a crack at. So I guess I could see starting in the 9s. I guess my problem with the 9s is where do you start? I mean, I guess Hovland's fine. I guess Scotty's fine. You know how I feel about Henley. I mean, I'd almost rather start in the 8s and go Lonto, Doc, Connors, like Zach Johnson. I would rather start in the 8s than I would in the 9s. It's kind of weird. Cam Davis, James Hahn, all in the 8s as well. Stuart Sink. I mean, the 8s is, I could probably make a great lineup from 7,800 to 8,900. I could probably make a pretty great lineup. Scott says, good stuff as always. Thank you. Yeah, Adam Long's interesting. Adam Long's always interesting. Unfortunately, I've kept an eye on him the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, I don't think he's done much because I want to play him. I always want to play him. But yeah, here's the issue. He is hemorrhaging strokes on approach and around the green. Now, we can argue about his 5th place finish in Punta Cana, but I don't know how he did it because ShotLink wasn't there. So I don't know if he chipped in multiple times. I don't know if he rode a hot putter. I don't know if he figured everything out. Apparently not, because it's been three bad starts since then. So that's my concern. I've kept an eye on him because I liked what he was doing here. Not so much anymore. Just absolutely hemorrhaging from tee to green. I do not want to get back in on that. Starting a lineup, Brian asked, starting a lineup with Hideki, would it be contrarian? I think it certainly would be. You look at the ownership, he is the lowest owned golfer above 10K. So starting with him in general is just going to make you different, especially because there are 3 guys projected above 20% above him. So yeah, I would say it would be different. I don't know if I like it, but it would be different. Scott, I mentioned how I might change the custom model. Boy, I lost my spot. Custom model from 5 par 5s to 5 par 3s. Don't weigh par 5s as much. Add a little bit to driving distance and add a little bit to around the green is what I would do. Do I think scrambling is a good stat to look at? Matthew Moore, good question. Yes and no. I kind of covered it. Scrambling's kind of a flawed stat in some ways. You might want to look at around the green or strokes gained short game, which is actually, I have that in the strokes gained database here. Strokes gained short game is around the green plus putting. You can use that to see who's playing well. So thoughts on John Huh, top 20 plus 750. Love it. I mean, you have to understand, you are embracing 4 rounds. You're embracing 4 measured rounds for a guy who's playing on a major medical. If you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. I like the risk. I like the volatility. If you are okay with that, then it's okay with me. Is the Houston Open going to have 5 par 5s and 5 par 3s? No, go to the top. It was the first thing we talked about. I explained what happened with the scorecards. Bernie or Guillotine says it's been a few weeks since I've come to tell you you're sleeping on Neesmith. Yeah, we just talked about him, so yes, it's all good. No interest in Molinari. Kevin Chappell is a dart throw. Well, let's pull him up. I got to take this sweatshirt off. Give me like 5 seconds. It's a million degrees in here. Bothered. All right. Who are we doing? Kevin Chappell. Before I even click his name, I'm not interested. But let's see if we can find something here. No. I mean, no. Listen, golf's weird, right? We saw that. Let me show you something, okay? Let me show you Brian Gay. You know, our latest champion on the PGA Tour. And let me show you why golf is random and golf is very hard. There is 0 evidence from this screen in which he has lost strokes in nearly every category for like 20 straight events. He's missed like 16 of those cuts that win was coming. You could argue, but he played well here once before, but it was short. Of course, I get it. But like, that's not enough to overcome how bad this is. So this is my note to say, golf is weird. Golf is random. Embrace the volatility. Don't get hung up on certain things. So I will say this. I'm not going to play Kevin Chappell. Could Kevin Chappell shoot a 59 in his first start back after major back surgery like he did at the Greenbrier that one year? Yes, of course he can. I don't see any evidence of that happening. I see evidence of a guy who's lost. I see evidence of a guy who is bleeding strokes off the tee, on approach, around the green, and sometimes he gets an absolutely nuclear putter, gains 9 strokes at the Sanderson Farms. Excuse me, that didn't even crack the top 20. He gains 6.7 strokes to the Travelers, doesn't even crack the top 50 there. This to me looks like a golfer who is in the hurt locker and struggling in a bunch of different ways. So you can play Kevin Chappell and you can embrace that volatility, and I will applaud you for embracing that volatility, but it's not going to be me. Now I'm all fired up. I got like, I don't even know where I'm at. Jared says, you are the man. No, you are the man. Thoughts on Carlos Ortiz? Ooh. Mark Immelman loves Carlos Ortiz. I mean, I guess it's been better, right? I mean, the 2 events back to back, the 2 invitationals, Zozo and CJ Cup, hit the ball well, putted really, really bad. That's fine. You ever see that guy who does the Tiger impression? Really, really bad. He always does that. There's probably not that much evidence here. There's very little evidence. And if things go right and he can flip this putter, that would be good. I'm not that optimistic. Let's call it lukewarm. Okay. Haven't heard much about Lonto, sports guy. I talk about Lonto in my sleep. My wife told me that. He's the best. No, I mean, seriously, here's the Lonto situation. I love the way he's been playing. I think he's gone 11th and 7th at the two invitational events. He is technically your defending champion, but of course he didn't win it here, so he doesn't get really the benefit of that. I kind of made, on the First Cut podcast, I kind of said, he gets all the bad stuff, which is the extra press obligations, the title of being the defending champion, trying to live up to that, but he doesn't even get all of the good stuff of like going back to a place that you have great vibes, a course that suits your eye and suits your game. The good news is the way he's been playing is on approach and kind of riding a bit of a hot putter. I like the approach stuff, giving himself a lot of swipes at it. So yeah, I mean, listen, I'll send you my number. We'll talk about Lonto for 9 hours every week. Finau and HV3 or DJ and Straka. Oof. So it's basically, I mean, God, DJ's just going to burn me this week, isn't he? I'd probably go Finau and HV3. I think Finau over DJ is safer, potentially smarter, but DJ could just snap off and kill me on this. HV3 I think is very interesting considering he was one of the most popular golfers on the slate last week. He missed the cut. I wonder if people will go back to him. Straka is just kind of like a popper, right? You're really asking for a lot there. So I'll go HV3 and Finau. Charlie asks about Siwoo. We talked about him. Rewind a little bit. Hey Rick, thanks for the advice. Do you ever bet leader after the first round? So sometimes, I have a tool. I don't know. I just pushed an update to it. I don't know if it's actually live yet. So let me try something here. This is, so every tool is going to be revamped. Almost every tool is going to be revamped, after Mayakoba. So basically those 3 weeks that we have off of the PGA Tour. So all of these tools are going to go through, a bunch of stuff here. And this cheat sheet, the live cheat sheet, the update's not in here yet, will be one of the first ones. I want to answer this question, but now I can't. All right, let me think about this. Hold on one second. Let me see what I can do. This cheat sheet that I have, it actually will break down round by round strokes gained. It'll also include your tee time. So those would be some of the factors that I would consider, right? So normally I think it's like 53-ish%, maybe more than that, of the first round leaders come from the morning wave, which makes sense. A lot of times on the PGA Tour, the greens are softer. They are more receptive. You can kind of fire darts and you can roll things in. So I usually bet the early guys, and then the super volatile ones are good, the ones that can make a lot of birdies. Here's the tool right here. I'm showing this on my back end, so bear with me here. And what it has is basically strokes gained average and then strokes gained by each round. And what you can do is you can sort this by the guys who are significantly better in round one. Now, again, some of them have small sample sizes. Like Bo Hoag is 2.7 strokes per round better in round one, but I only have 2 measured rounds for him in round one in the database. It's a long story. But here's someone who's interesting. Like Hudson Swafford, in his last 54 round ones, is a stroke per round better than his baseline. That's a big deal. So you'll see he actually gets worse as the week goes on. He's a negative in round 2, round 3, and round 4, but round 1 he makes his hay. So these are the types of guys, and usually you can get them at a very good number, very deep, 100 to 1, 150 to 1, that I throw a couple of darts on and see what happens. I'll publish this. Actually, I did just publish it. We'll wait for it to come through. Who is a golfer that the data hates but you love? Ooh. First of all, I bend the knee to the data, so I'm not sure that there is going to be a guy that I love and the data hates. It's a really good question. I want to give a thoughtful answer, but I'm such a data dork that I don't know if there's a difference between those two things. Maybe the closest would be Corey Connors, who it has not been a good restart for Corey Connors. He just hasn't played well. Now, I think we're starting to see some trends here at Sanderson. We're starting to see some trends at Zozo, that he's back to that ball striking that I like so much. So that's probably the closest I could get, but that is a very insightful question, Ryan. Thank you for that. That's a tough one, man. I don't know. That's a good question. Favorite 10K play and favorite value play for large field GPP. My favorite 10K play is Finau. If you want to be really sick in a large GPP, where's John Huh? Are we even getting any ownership numbers on him? He's like 6,300, right? 64 maybe? 63. 3.5% projected ownership. That would be probably where I went, but I'm willing to take on a lot of risk, John. Finau and Bo Hostler or Hatton and Burns for cash. I don't play cash, so I don't think you want my answer there. Thoughts on Sink? Yeah, much better recently. He's got the win. He's got the top, 4 last week. Yeah, the 12th place finish in there, something like that. He's been playing well. Obviously, really good vibes with his son on the bag. I do like Streelman. Zhang, just very, just risk reward, right? I mean, he's either going to miss the cut or he's going to finish like top 10 for you, right? He continues this trend. 14th, 11th, miscut. I mean, that's what you're going to get. Don't expect anything more. Chris asks, can you sell some of your shares live on Jock Market? Or some of them as opposed to all of them? No, you can sell some of them. I think you can. So I'm such a donkey, but I've been winning. I hold a lot from IPO. I just, I think I got a little bit of FOMO. I think I have a little bit of I fall in love with these guys. But no, you can sell. You can choose how many shares you want to sell, and hedge your bets a little bit if that's kind of what you're getting at. Andy answered this. You can sell single shares. My first time was last week. What I found is the market isn't very liquid. Andy, you're right. The more people that play, the more liquid the market is, right? You obviously, if you're buying something, someone's got to sell it to you. If you're selling something, someone's got to buy it from you. And Jock Market does a really good job of trying to facilitate those sales. But like when we get super liquid, if we can get a bunch of people playing on it and get super liquid, like imagine shorting golfers. Imagine that's what I envision. I think that's the plan. I'd have to talk to those guys, but let's fix the liquidity. Let's play. Let's get everybody on Jock Market. Take your $10 deposit bonus. Make your cash. Let's all get in there and fix the liquidity. Thoughts on EVR? I don't think I have many thoughts on EVR. Zero talk about Alex Noren. Yeah. Let's look at Alex Noren. What is his price? Here we go. $7,800. Hasn't been a good season. He's been figuring out a way. This is my issue with him. He always figures out a way to putt it, which is a little bit concerning. But look at this. Terrible off the tee. Terrible from tee to green. Pretty bad with his irons. I'm not a big Noren guy. It doesn't fit the mold. Bernie or Guillotine. Yeah, we covered it in the start. The initial scorecard that was released was incorrect. Go to the very first thing we talk about. I break it down. Go check that out. Am I finally done with Patrick Rodgers? No, probably not. I'm pretty sick. I mean, listen, the skill set's there. He made the cut last week. We'll see. Peter, welcome to the chat. Peter says there's 2 weeks left in his local one and done. They pay out segments and I'm in first for the last segment. Hatton, Henley, Hideki, or Hovland. All H is kind of funny. Oh, okay. Got it. Man, as much as I kind of worry about Hatton here, If you only have 2 weeks left, I think you have to play him. He's won 3 times in his last 15 starts. I would either say it has to be Hatton, who I think of objectively long-term is the best player out of that group. Or if you if Henley's going to be really popular in DFS, he's probably going to be really popular in one and dones. You might just play Henley. If you're in the lead, just let everybody else try to catch up to you. Don't do anything stupid. Alicia used Rick Run Good and turned 12 into 400. Sweet. Thank you. Is there any black golfers in the Open? In which Open? Houston Open? Harold Varner III? I think that's it. Cam Champ's not here. Tiger's not here. I think that might be it. I don't know some of those guys down at the bottom. I believe HV3 would be the only one. There's a lot of noise on Sam Burns. I think the noise of that, let me see if I can find this. I think the noise on Sam Burns is coming from his Bermuda putting. So if you go to the key stats, which is here, Sam Burns on his baseline putting is he's a good putter. He gains about 0.4 of a stroke per round. On Bermuda, though, he gains 0.7. So the 0.3 difference makes him a specialist. It's actually one of the bigger numbers. Him and Charles Schwartzel are some of the Bermuda grass specialists. So I think that's probably where the Sam Burns noise is coming from. I think it's fine. I don't buy into the green stuff as much as everybody else does. I'm going to try to go faster here. I think we have a lot more questions than I thought, and we've got a couple minutes left. Let me see what I can do here. Any chance the highest price guys mail it in this week? I don't think so. I covered this on St. Louis radio last night, I think. So I don't think so. Because here's what you have. You have DJ who needs to play well or wants to try to play well because this is his first start back. Finau trying to break this 4-year stretch of winning. Like, he's out there to win. Koepka, same thing. Like, out there to win. I don't think we've heard Tiger say some years like, yeah, I'm working on some shots that might work at Augusta National. I don't think the guys at the top of this board are necessarily in that position to do that. Peyton asks, am I worried about Finau's putting splits on Bermuda? We can pull this up. My goodness. So let's find Finau. He is, how much is he? 10,000. Here he is. So he is basically a quarter of a shot. Oh, I clicked the wrong one. A quarter of a shot worse on Bermuda than his baseline. Am I concerned about it? Yes. But as I just kind of mentioned, I'm not as big on the grass surfaces as I think a lot of other people are. Schwartz will make the cut. Yeah, I think so. What do you think about Scott Piercy this week? Let me see. Mr. Scott Piercy. So I assume the Shriners Hospital for Children's Open, 19th place finish, 7 strokes gained on approach. I assume that is what we're talking about here. Is why people would want to play Piercy. I don't know. I mean, I think that's a bit of an outlier, right? I mean, this approach game, he's usually better with his irons and his wedges. He's usually an above average player. This to me looks like a bit of an outlier. Is Koepka back to compete this week? Felt like it was simply a test for his body. I don't know. I think Koepka is the biggest question mark. I think it's. I think it's going to be, I think it's a question mark for him, right? I think every week he's going to show up and he's going to try to figure out if the knee feels good or feels bad. And then depending on that, how the game, I mean, it's just, he hasn't been sharp for a long time, quite frankly. It's been a year. I mean, he's got like a couple of top 5 finishes then, but it's been a year since we've seen like real on Brooks just contend every single week. Let me try to go through some of these some of these I've answered a lot already. Shares for McNeely on Jock Market going up to 725. Why? I have no idea. I don't know if there was inside information. I just ranted about McNeely over there. Hey, Rick, love your stuff. Thank you. Any Ollie love? Ollie's the name of my dog. Lots of love about that. Schneider Jans, not so much. I mean, I wish we had the strokes gain data. I think he's fine, right? I don't know why. He's another one of these guys between him and Maverick McNeely who catch way more steam than I think they should. I don't really trust either of them, so no. Any love for Sink? We talked about him. Yeah, I think I do like him. Sergio. The good thing, Charlie, is Sergio's completely on brand, right? Tee to green, he's going to be great. He's going to be an absolute terrible putter. If he finds a way to gain a stroke and a half over 4 rounds, he'll win like he did at Sanderson Farms, right? I don't know. There's unfortunately not that much more to say about him. You're just trying to find the week that he pops off. Kramer Hickok. Someone else asked me about Kramer Hickok. He isn't, as of right now, or last I checked like an hour ago, he had not been added to the DraftKings field. So I don't know. Someone else asked me about him too. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Is he in the field? I don't know. I could look. Rick, has Finau ever had a hot putter? Before I look, yeah. Let's say yes. Right? Let's see how recent it was. And let's define this before I do this. Before I click Tony Finau. Let's say Finau gaining more than 3 strokes over the course of an event would be a hot putter. Is that fair? Randy? Let's find out. Yeah. Oh, close at Zozo, 2.5. BMW Championship, Memorial, Waste Management, Farmers. So he's basically done it 5 times, and I didn't even give myself credit for Charles Schwab. And that's basically it. I mean, he has got more rounds of him, or more events of him gaining 4 than losing 4. So yes, I will say Tony Finau has had a hot putter. James Hahn. Yeah, he's $8,000. I like him. 3 straight top 10s. Is there a weakness in Shank's game? Interesting. We can talk about Shank. I don't think there is. I think he's pretty solid across the board. He's got like an 11 consecutive cut streak right now. It's one of the longest on tour. You can see his strength is obviously and what you're going to see for a guy who just kind of just not barely makes a lot of cuts, but doesn't do much after that. He's going to be very close to field average in a lot of things. But in this run that he's in, he's been a pretty good ball striker. He hasn't been a great putter. He's putted okay at times. He's putted poorly at times. He's such an average player. I mean, look at his career trajectories. This is cumulative. So, being 32 strokes over field average or tour average in however many years isn't very good. Being, minus 15 in the same time frame, minus 14. I mean, he's basically an average player, which is why he makes a lot of cuts and then doesn't really make all that noise afterwards. Is it too long for Zach Johnson? Man, good question. The good thing about Zach Johnson is he can get it around the short game, right? And he has those like long hybrids and those long irons. He usually hits them pretty well. I wish this was a par 72 for ZJ. We might just have to keep our eye on him because he is playing really well. Heading into Augusta next week, I think is going to be interesting. I'm going to try to roll through as many of these as I can here in the next couple of minutes. So let's try to. I know I can get long-winded. My one and done is the Masters. My 7 choices, Mark. 7 choices. I don't know. They're all fine. 2 weeks left in the one and done. Very in good position. Leaning one of these guys. I think if you're in the lead or sitting in very good position, you might just want to play Henley. Because I think everyone will. Just let them try to chase you down. Thoughts on Sung Jae? Has been on and off since the restart. Starting to look a little bit better. I probably would wait 1 week. Scotty Finau, that's not a question. Thoughts on JT Poston? I don't really have any. 66K below. 66K, that's everybody. But under 6,600, John Huz, probably my favorite, but there's a lot of risk there. Since random old vets are winning every week, who's your favorite random old vet at 100 to 1? That's so good. All right, here we go. Random old vet at 100 to 1. I'm going to Will Hill. Oh, there's not really a lot of random old vets at 100 to 1. How about Charlie Hoffman at 90 to 1? Why not? Am I doing season-long fantasy like we did last year? So that's different, Josh. Last year we did a best ball. I don't know if that's going to happen again. I got to be honest with you. Fantrax was kind of a disaster. They were able to fix it a lot kind of as the draft was going on. Also, their data has been down for many, many weeks, which is just, we're trying to run a test on season-long fantasy where it's more like fantasy football with pickups and drops and trades and all that stuff, but Fantrax data is down again. I don't know. I'm kind of like, it's just, I love the idea of it, but I don't know if we can find a good home for it. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Is Jock Market going to be on Android? It's the number one question. As far as I'm aware, any moment, right? It's been submitted. Android takes forever to approve apps. My understanding is literally any moment. Bo Jones, yo, welcome. We're leaving. So hello and goodbye. Would you rather have Griffin or Henley? As much as I love Lonto. Well, is that like, do I have to consider ownership? If I have to consider ownership, maybe Lonto. In a vacuum, probably Henley. All right. 1 o'clock on the West Coast. I think that'll do it. Houston Open live chat. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to RickRunGood.com. Download and play on Jock Market. Let's add some liquidity to the market. Let's all win together. I get a bunch of screenshots every week from people who are winning on Jock Market. Invest and back our small growing companies that have great ideas. That's what we should do. There is a bonus. If you deposit, if you take a screenshot of your lobby or your account and you tweet it at me and Jock Market, they'll give you 10 extra bucks. Cannot beat it. People are winning at a ridiculous clip. Enjoy. And I guess that's it. I don't know if I have anything else to plug. RickRunGood.com. I don't know. That's it. Later.